Richard, when you think back to growing up in Crenshaw, California, what are some of the first memories that come to mind?
I was actually born in Watts, and the only other Caucasian family on the block were, I hate to use the term hillbillies or whatever, and I'd get beaten up for killing Christ, and I didn't even know who Christ was. The African-American neighbors couldn't have been kinder, though. And then we moved to Crenshaw, where I went to middle school and high school. It was very interesting.
So how was that for you did you not realize that it was sort of a fish out of water scenario, and maybe that helped you just see people as people and not something where if you'd come from Beverly Hills, and I hate to just throw that town as the...
I grew up in the 50s and the 60s. And we kind of moved every 3 years into a slightly better house. And so during my middle school period, we were in this little area called Baldwin Hills, which was adjacent Crenshaw, but we went to school in Crenshaw. And it was white turning black. And the Gentile parents blamed it on the Jewish realtors, and their kids took it out on me. So I went through very virulent anti-Semitism. And it kind of came to a head. I was 13 years old, and my best friend, with all the group around me, challenged me to a fight, and I couldn't hit him. And I stood there with my hands at my sides and started crying, and now they're calling me a fag and a Jew. A year later, I was 6 feet tall and fought my way into a gang. More West Side Story than Boys in the Hood, but I was very athletic. And then my first semester at high school, I was a state track champion. So I got along very, very well with the kids at Dorsey High School. And I wasn't lonely. But I had a couple rough years. I mean, I read voraciously. And, then I got involved in the civil rights movement and then the anti-war movement, and, just kind of grew out of that. But it was largely caused by that trauma of anti-Semitism. The black kids couldn't have treated me better as long as I was in my neighborhood. I was almost killed once in the next, what do you call, turf zone. But I couldn't have been treated better by the African-American people, at Audubon Middle School and Dorsey High School. And I'm still close with them today, and I might be doing some projects, development with the community in Crenshaw coming up.
So, and McCarthyism was going on at this time as well, or they were just coming out of it? You said it was the 50s?
It was, my parents went through that. For me, I didn't notice the McCarthyisms. I'm sure the parents of the anti-Semitic kids who bullied me and tortured me were anti-communist or whatever as well, but it was more just pure anti-Semitism. And then I hit the point, I was 14 years old, 15, now I'm very athletic, 6 feet tall, and then I was never bullied. The price was too high.
Sure.
Even if it was a bigger guy, the price was too high.
Well, I always...
I'm not violent, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Although I boxed for 25 years.
Well, yeah, that was actually, I was leading to that, and I wanted to ask.
It was, in a nutshell, I look at life as theater. I don't like to hit people. I don't like to get hit. Some people can put a basket through a hoop, hit a fastball, hit a tennis ball, and for some reason, I was just a natural tall middleweight with a knockout right hand, which someone from the next neighborhood in high school experienced once in front of my teammates, which gave me a little bit of a reputation when I dropped a big guy. But anyway, I liked being accepted into this other, call it like a Damon Runyon-esque universe with the old fighters and the young fighters. And, I was a part of this universe, so I was a sparring partner on and off in a pro stable until I was about 50 years old. But then I direct a play or direct a video. I'm writing food and wine reviews, which, a lot of calories, a lot of wine. And this would just keep me in ridiculous shape.
What do you think having a tough beginning prepares you for? Because I've seen people take it both ways. I've seen some that self-destruct and others that are able to actually go and transcend further than people that had a more idyllic setting growing up in terms of whether they were bullied, whatever it was. What do you think it teaches people?
Well, the other side of my growing up, I had a very stable home life. Amazing father, amazing mother, very supportive. So I didn't have the adversity that other kids might be growing up with trouble in the house. My mother went on, she was an English teacher, and then after age 50, published 16 novels, won 2 Emmys. Wow. So I had a great younger brother. He never got in fights. I kept him out of some fights. But the only adversity was just that virulent anti-Semitism and the group of friends, kind of over a 2-3 year period, having the people you were close to turn against you.
Yeah.
But I had that, I'd come home to this wonderful home life with great supportive parents. So I had that going at the same time. And I was a voracious reader, so I had this other universe or universes that I was into.
How do you think that toughened you up? Because right now we're, and forgive me for using the word snowflake, but we're in this new thing where people are very offended, and I realize we're in some very divisive times, but how do you think that toughened you up so that you weren't, I would imagine that if you've been bullied and you've had people that you knew turn against you, you have to do some pretty serious soul searching, whether you realize it or not at that age. How do you think it toughened you up?
Well, Forbidden Zone was the absolute most politically incorrect film you could possibly do. I did this 40 years ago. Mm-hmm. I had the most wonderful experience in athletics at an African-American high school, and like on the buses to track meets and games and stuff like that, people would joke about their differences, and it was completely good-natured.
Right.
And that's how I grew up. And Forbidden Zone was kind of a human cartoon. I wouldn't do things I did 40 years ago in Forbidden Zone, and I just wrote a big article about it in Dead Central, if anybody wants to look it up.
Okay, we can link to it.
I say there's like stream of consciousness. This was stream of diarrhea of just anything I could throw against the wall. There was no censorship.
Right.
But I am an entertainer at heart, and I do outrageous humor. And there's no way to be outrageous without somebody somewhere taking offense.
Sure.
And I just don't worry about it.
But in terms of people trying to take you down a few pegs, how do you think that toughened you up? Because obviously there are those that haven't experienced certain things and maybe they're more offended by things that aren't really that serious. It seems serious to them. But I would imagine that, especially too, if you're in a ring getting hit and it could be good-natured, but it's within the realm of the fight.
Well, I don't, God, I'm trying to think. It's, I was born with a natural right hand.
Okay,
and then it was like not till my mid-late 20s in the boxing ring that I had a knockout left hook. So I could be in the ring with somebody who's a much better boxer, but at least the first 2, 3, 4 rounds, I could knock them out if they made a mistake. By round 5, just like a poker tournament where the pros get rid of the amateurs with little telegraphing things, then a pro, even if I could hit harder than him, could figure me out and kick my butt. I'm trying to think, how do I answer that? I don't worry about that. I know whatever, first of all, there's always been artistic censorship in different forms, from the left, from the right. You look at the Maoist Red Guards breaking the hands of older pianists, to get rid of the olds, and obviously censorship from the right, Spanish Inquisition, whatever. But I just don't worry about that, knowing that I'm just trying to entertain people, and no matter what I do, someone's going to be offended.